What's up guys, welcome to your daily justification of violence. This is your host, Captain Zach, and today's subreddit is r/EntitledParents.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.
This story is called, "No, I won't give your 4-year-old daughter a rabbit for free." First, a bit of information so this makes more sense. I breed rabbits. I raise a few different breeds primarily for my dinner table, but also for showing and supporting other breeders and 4-H or FFA kids needing project livestock. I rarely sell pets and never advertise them as pets. On the rare occasion I get a pet inquiry, I'll sell only a rabbit that's suitable for petdom, friendly, not aggressive, and most importantly, if the inquirer seems like they've researched rabbit ownership and agrees to return the rabbit if for some reason they have to rehome it. I never sell rabbits for holidays or birthdays. I am picky with pet homes, as the life of a pet rabbit can go one of two ways. They're loved and kept for the entirety of their lives, or they're bounced around from home to home when the novelty wears off, and eventually end up in a shelter or as a bait animal, or as someone's dinner. Okay, on to the story. Here's the cast. Entitled mother, entitled and loud mother, little kid, 4 years old, was cute and didn't do anything wrong. Fran, my friend and show buddy, and then me. I was at a rabbit show with a friend. It was midday and we had finished 2 of the 3 shows taking place that day. It was lunch break and friend and I were finishing up our sandwiches and were prepping our show lineup for the last show, when this rather large woman, entitled mother, and her little kid, approached our setup, looking at the rabbits I had on my grooming table.
What an adorable bunny! Look at the bunny, little kid! Oh!
Thank you. It was a very cute rabbit, lopped ears and all white with blue eyes.
How much is it?
Oh, this one isn't for sale. He's one of our show rabbits. Notes, I had a chalkboard with the available rabbits listed. Most of the sales that take place at the shows are other breeders and 4-H FFA youth breeder and showers. At this point, I had no clue if Entitled Mother was a breeder or if she was looking for a rabbit appropriate for her child to show. It was rare that people showed up looking for pets at a show, since most of the available are rabbits that will be priced for show or breeding, and depending on quality, can be quite pricey. I pointed out my chalkboard and told her I could show her whoever she was interested in. She balked at my prices.
Why are they so expensive? Those are absolutely ridiculous prices.
My cheapest rabbit was $60. The most expensive was $200. They're priced off quality. If you want a decent show rabbit, they'll be more than a brood quality rabbit.
I just want a pet for little kids, so you don't need to charge us so much.
Oh, I see. Unfortunately, none of the rabbits I brought are appropriate for a small child's pet.
What? Why?
The big ones are friendly but weigh over 12 pounds. They're too big for a little kid to handle easily. The little ones are aggressive. They require an experienced handler. They aren't friendly or cuddly at all and aren't available for pet homes. They're available to other breeders.
But they're so little. What harm can they do?
I hold a pen in front of one of the small rabbit's nose. It chomps down and tries to pull the pen from my hand. They're bred to be high-strung, so they pose upright and rigidly. The breed is generally not a good pet breed.
Fine, we'll take a big one.
The 2 I have available are $150 and $200. Both are proven and registered grand champions.
I am not paying that much for a rabbit. You are out of your mind.
I am not going to lower the prices. They are worth it and will be great addition to any breeder's herd. They really are too large for little kids to safely handle anyways. If they don't feel secure while being held, they will kick out of fear. Such a large rabbit could seriously hurt a small child. There might be other exhibitors selling rabbits more appropriate for your daughter and at a pet price. At that moment, one of my breeds was called over the megaphone. Lunch break was over. I scooped up the rabbit off the grooming table and started to move towards the show tables. Excuse me, I need to put my rabbits up. The judging is starting up. Entitled Mother ignores me.
I don't understand why there's so much. You should just give little kid a rabbit because she'll love it and give it a good home.
Little kid was looking at the rabbits in transport cages, clearly enthralled by all of them. She seemed particularly interested in the small, high-strung ones. She was being good though, not touching and not whining to hold any of them. I won't give away any of my rabbits. Excuse me.
I'm trying to do business with you. You're gonna brush off a paying customer? That's incredibly rude. I can see why no one has bought any of your rabbits. You're being a selfish bench.
Listen, lady, this is a rabbit show, not a pet store. I'm an exhibitor, not an employee. I don't have to sell anything to you. I didn't have to explain to you why none of my rabbits would be a good match for you, and I most certainly don't have to lower any of my prices for someone claiming they're not worth it because they aren't educated enough to know a purebred from a mutt. Go look on Craigslist if you want a $20 rabbit. You won't find that here. I do not deserve to be called names because you think you're entitled to other people's time and property. Now, I need to get my rabbits up. Get out of my way. She muttered some insult, which I didn't clearly hear, but I ignored her. I spent the next 15 minutes or so taking the rabbits to the table and watching the judging. All of a sudden, I hear a blood-curdling scream coming from the direction of my staging area. I look over to see entitled mother flailing about with a tiny rabbit latched onto the squishy part of her fat hand, between the pointer finger and the thumb. She's screaming bloody murder, understandably, as rabbit bites hurt, and pulling the rabbit from the hind end. My friend is trying to grab the rabbit and not having any luck since entitled mother is flailing about like a fish. I'm pissed. I'm also mean when I'm angry, and I'm seeing red. We have clip-on notices on the transport cages that clearly say, "Do not touch," and "I bite." This moron went into my cages while I wasn't looking and tried to remove one of my rabbits. I was ready to punch this sow of a woman. I run to her, grab her by the wrist, and scream at her to hold still, otherwise she'll never get the rabbit off. She's obviously in pain, little kid is crying from the commotion, and friend is looking pale and wide-eyed at the whole ordeal. The rabbit is breathing hard, bleeding from his rear feet and not letting go. I do the only thing I can think of and shove my pen into the side of his mouth, pushing against her hand to pry him off. She screams and tries to jerk away, which makes me snarl, a very angry, "Hold the frick still!
You're hurting me!
Do you want him off or not? I'm trying to help you. I told you they were aggressive! You did not have permission to touch any of my rabbits!" Off pops the rabbit, wild-eyed and panicked. Back into his carrier he goes. He now looks very smug. She's bleeding everywhere.
I'm going to sue you! Your rabbit attacked me!
I told your stupid asterisk that they were aggressive! You had no right to touch any of my rabbits! There's a sign on his cage that says he bites! Can you not read? Friend is on the phone with the police. Yes, I'd like to report an attempted theft and need someone here ASAP.
Yes, get the cops here. Your rabbit assaulted me. You brought a rabid rabbit to a place where there are children. It could have maimed my child.
Only if she had broken into my cages like you did. What kind of example are you setting for your kid?
Frick you!
At this point, the show secretary leads entitled mother and little kid off for some first aid, and I check over my rabbit. The stupid cow had thrashed him about so hard that all 4 toenails on both hind feet had broken off and were bleeding. According to friend, the entitled mother refused to leave after I took my rabbits up to be judged, and had been grilling friend about the rabbits and the prices. When another of our breeds was called up, friend had started to bring those rabbits up. In about 20 seconds of being unobserved by one of us, entitled mother had thought it would be a good idea to steal one of the small rabbits. Our neighbor had watched her open my cage and grab the rabbit. Fortunately, she picked one of the meanest ones we have, and being an uneducated fool, picked him up by grabbing him by the chest and back, right in biting range. The cops showed up and took our statements, and then her statement. I showed them the bloody back feet of my rabbit and informed them I wanted to press charges for damaged property. Since rabbits qualify as livestock in my state, damage of property was all I could press for. Animal control was also called, and she was cited and charged with animal endangerment. Unfortunately, the wounded rabbit's toenails grew in white, so he can no longer be shown and his value dropped. She ended up paying me the full cost of the rabbit and has a ban from all rabbit shows with the club that put that particular show on. She undoubtedly has a nasty scar to show off as well. I guess there's not much to be said here that you guys don't already know. This story's called Switch Seats with Me. I used to fly a lot for work, living out of a suitcase 35 or so weeks a year. It was exhausting, but I met a ton of great people. This story is about one who wasn't. A lot of people think the big benefit of flying a lot is the miles, and miles are great, but when you fly often enough, the real benefit is the status program. The airline I flew most often had a program where they would give free upgrades to first class. The airline would sell as many first class seats as they could, and if there were any unsold, would give them away to the most frequent flyers. Often, I'd get the upgrade a day or two in advance. But sometimes I would be on standby for the upgrade, especially for US cross-country flights, and have to wait until shortly before boarding. So I'd have a coach seat, and if something opened up, they'd call me up shortly before boarding and upgrade me, which is what happened this time. The gate agent called me up and, with a smile, says,
Good news, OP. Looks like we can upgrade you.
We had a pleasant conversation. I thanked her and took my seat. Unbeknownst to me, we weren't the only two people paying attention to that exchange. Boarding begins, and I settle into my window seat. Nobody sits next to me, and with first class boarding first, that probably means nobody is sitting there. Perfect. I can spread out a bit while I work. About 10 minutes go by when a woman with a child in tow stops by me. She says,
Excuse me,
and gestures at the folder I had put on the aisle seat next to me. I apologize and pick up my folder, and her son sits down and she says,
You need to change seats with me.
Poor manners, but whatever. Switching seats on a plane happens all the time. I figure she and her kid were separated for whatever reason. It happens a lot with upgrades, and obviously want to sit together. No problem. Okay, where's your seat? She hands me her boarding pass, 26F or something. Assuming she had gotten upgraded but handed me the wrong boarding pass, I said, This is your coach seat? Where are you sitting up here?
There,
she says, pointing to my seat. No, I mean, what is your assigned first class seat?
I am going to sit with my son.
No problem. What is your first class seat and I'll move?
Look, there was a mistake in upgrades. We have these seats.
I start to talk again and she snaps.
Why are you being such a butthole?
This gets the attention of the flight attendants. I don't know if Reddit has a flight attendant horror story subreddit, but it should, precisely for people like this. The flight attendant comes over.
Is there a problem? Yes, he won't change seats with me. Sir?
She says with a puzzled look on her face. I will, but I'd rather not sit in 26F after I've already been upgraded.
Okay, can I see everyone's boarding passes?
Mine reads 5A, hers 26F, her son's 26E.
Ma'am, you and your son are in row 26. This is a long flight and we've been up for 2 hours already. You guys give away these seats, you should give them to us. Those seats aren't big enough for normal people.
I resisted the urge to ask what basis she has for considering herself normal, and noticed that a line had formed in the aisle because nobody could squeeze by her and get to their seats.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but you'll need to sit in your assigned seats. No, we want an upgrade. I fly with you every year. And we appreciate your loyalty, ma'am, but we're boarding and we need everyone to take their assigned seats.
At this point, some folks in the aisle began complaining and telling her to take her seat.
Look at him and how he's dressed.
I was in jeans and a sweatshirt, my usual travel attire.
He doesn't belong here.
Just then a voice from the aisle shouted, You don't either, lady! Take your seat! The flight attendant fought a smile, while I just bursted out laughing, which only enraged entitled parent further. Somewhere during this, the other flight attendant called into the flight deck, and a flight deck officer emerged, squeezing by the passengers.
We want our free upgrades.
Flight deck officer asks flight attendant, What seems to be the problem?
He won't switch seats with me.
This passenger and her son won't sit in their assigned seats, 26E and 26F.
Ma'am, you need to take your seats. Entitled parent, now louder than ever.
No, we want our free upgrade.
Ma'am, if you want to reach destination, you need to be in your seats right now, because interfering with the flight crew means the police get involved and nobody wants that, do they? She yanks her son out of the seat and storms back, to applause from the rest of the passengers. The guy sitting on the other side of the aisle turns to flight attendant and flight deck officer and says, Whatever they pay you guys, it isn't enough. The rest of the flight was quiet and uneventful. While I was off the plane long before her, we crossed paths at baggage claim. She called me a butthole under her breath, and in one of my less than proud moments, I turned to her kid and said, Don't be like mommy. Oh my gosh, people like that are so gross. Like, ugh, poor people. I'm kidding, guys.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.